Welcome to Secured Sessions, the podcast with no niche. Today is the highly anticipated conspiracy episode. So, for today's guest, there were only two people that I could think of that would be perfect for this episode. They know more than Joe Rogan himself, and they're going to give you guys some insight into the world of conspiracies, lift back the curtain of the government, aliens, anything you could possibly think of. So, without further ado, I'll let the guests introduce themselves. So, Austin, take it away.
What's up, everybody? Austin here with one of my two best friends, here to talk about crazy shit.
Elias, like, wow. The audacity.
Amazing.
Two, you say, huh?
I guess we'll just get right into it. One of my most favorite, conspiracies as of lately has been something called Project Bluebeam. It's essentially the theory is that NASA has developed technology, holographic technology, where essentially they think they're going to bring a second coming or an apocalypse, to say, where they're going to, maybe fake an alien invasion because holographic technology has gotten so crazy. Obviously using real bombs and weapons to, cause destruction, but essentially to have that kind of apocalyptic scenario occur.
Well, the idea is that they want to create an event so big that it makes humanity come together as one thing to establish a one world government, new world order type of agenda.
So like doing something to cause issues on purpose in order to bring people together.
Yeah, so that they can be easily more controlled.
Manipulated.
So like 9/11 and COVID, kind of?
That's
like
maybe.
Bigger than that.
Do you think those were a test? Ooh,
I mean,
well, 9/11, there's a lot of even like published documents that 9/11 has been something that's been in the works since like the 60s.
I believe it, yeah.
And they were talking about an attack on I think on the Twin Towers specifically.
Yeah.
Obviously it probably got taken way out of hand with how many other people. I feel like the amount of people that are on the planet, not that it's a problem, I just feel like any conspiracy can be misconstrued into anything because of the highest probability chance of something happening,
Yeah, I believe it.
Oh, wait, real quick. I'm Brett. Also,
with that said,
I know you kind of took over my introduction, so that's quite all right. We're excited about stuff
we are
like
excited.
this. Like we've only ever been able to talk about this, just me and him. Like, bro.
He's like, so there's no hope for humanity. But anyway, this is my name. But
by the way, just
Brett summed it up, exactly right. Essentially, it's a entire world scenario where everybody's affected, where it's not just one country that's like, oh, hey, they're getting attacked by aliens, well, guess we'll just keep doing what we're doing. No, it's like a grand scale, like staging a apocalyptic like alien invasion to where it'll bring people together in a sense of like, okay, the world is so much bigger than what we thought. What do we do now? How do we, if that were the case, how do we protect ourselves? Like, how do we deal with this? And it's like, well, the way we do that is by all uniting as a one species front, no more like
think
kind
it's
of
possible. Or do you think everyone's like, whatever, it's already over anyway?
I think it's pushing in that direction just kind of naturally. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be this like everything is one thing. But I think things like BRICS in the UN and these kind of more global reaching institutions, right, are kind of monikers of maybe what's to come or maybe what they want. You see like the Bilderberg Group and all that. They're meeting behind closed doors and kind of setting the plan, and they don't even hide it anymore. They'll just be like, yeah, we're gonna come take these guys' oil, no problem.
Yeah.
And and so they don't even hide it anymore. And I kind of miss it. I miss the sly lies.
Being able to actually like dig in and be like connecting the dots yourself. You're like Sherlock
it's cracking
Holmes,
into the infrastructure of like,
just like now it's so blatant and in your face, and they realize nobody really is paying attention.
Well, and a lot of people can't even do anything. It's like, okay, say you crack like what they are doing. What are we actually gonna do? I mean, there was that one group that stormed Area 51. You remember that? There were like Facebook groups. Yeah. They were like, let's storm Area 51, guys. I actually had a party in my hometown at a strip club. It was Area 51 themed and all my friends dressed as aliens. We just partied there. It was really
That's incredible.
It was phenomenal. I'll probably insert some footage if I can. But anyways, go on, guys. Sorry.
But yeah,
What? And I think it's ironic that a face,
But they were saying like the Naruto runners. You remember that? They were like, we'll put them in the front. Yeah. Okay,
I feel like I got a monthly invite to a Naruto run meetup on Facebook for all through COVID. Just people looking to do shit. Let's Naruto run through the mall that closed down. Like,
well, it's like planking and stuff like that too. That was a thing.
Oh my God.
I think we're
that
veering
was
off
the
conspiracies.
first thing that was big when I was in like high school. That was
that was like 2013, 2014.
Yeah,
there was
remember
on
the
like an
cinnamon
army
challenge?
sign. Yeah, do what?
You remember the cinnamon challenge?
No,
you never heard of the cinnamon challenge? You basically take a spoonful of like powdered cinnamon, and just place it on your tongue, and you try to swallow it. It's impossible. I did it when I was in high school, and it's absolutely horrendous.
It sounds terrible. Honestly, I would not want to do that.
Like, and when you do spit it out, it's just still because it just absorbs all of the moisture that's in your mouth, and it just coats.
Yeah, in my high school, people just fought. I don't know. They just fist fought. We weren't like eating cinnamon. We just
fought for
brawling.
fun. We just want to see who could beat each other's
brawling,
ass.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into some conspiracies with that said. So my personal favorite is what I'm going to start with. It's the movie Frozen, the Disney movie. Have you guys heard this one or no?
I've seen tidbits on it.
There's a conspiracy theory on Frozen.
Well, Austin, yes, and I'll tell you about it. So basically the theory is people think that Walt Disney himself is cryogenically frozen to this day, and he's just going to pop out of the woodwork one of these days. And I guess they had the technology back. Sure, you have. I'm like, you don't have to lie to be cool. You're already here on the podcast, Austin. Okay, relax.
I didn't know. I thought you meant the movie.
He's like, yeah, I wrote
the Frozen
that theory.
movie. I was like,
well, kind of, yeah. So thing is, the hunch that people have is since he's frozen and people are always Googling it, like, is Walt Disney frozen? Like, is he cryogenically frozen? To distract from that, they came out with a movie named Frozen. So that, listen, bear with me here. So that when people Googled it and they put Disney Frozen, it was in fact the movie.
The movie.
You see where I'm going with this, right? You're following
Walt
me.
Disney Frozen.
Exactly.
That's the kind of plausible deniability that they would be smart enough to do.
I'm saying.
Long term. I think surface level, doubt it, given that when he died, where technology was at the time, I don't think so.
So we think.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, maybe what was available to the retail public.
Yeah, honestly, could have been.
But Walt Disney, maybe he could have, easily.
I mean, he was like
Walt Disney.
Yeah, he was like the Nazi type.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
A lot of people.
I hear he was just like hella just.
Shamelessly.
You watch his old movies; it was very anti-Jew, like very like what we consider anti-Semitic.
Yeah, that's pretty
world.
known that he was like.
Dang.
Yeah, and that's why when Disney became popular and there was the Operation Paperclip where we brought a lot of the head up of Nazi commanders and material, and they started things like NASA and
what?
Yes,
I'm moving to Australia.
And so when you realize that ties things like Walt Disney having access to technology to cryogenically freeze himself, plausible.
I hope he's not. Someone turn up the heat in there knowing that. I'm like,
he was crazy. 100% he was crazy.
With that being said, he'd probably be happy to see the war going on right now. With,
absolutely, yeah.
You're playing with fire.
Literally. Maybe he orchestrated it all. Maybe he's unfrozen already. Who's to say? Like, if we just go deeper into the rabbit hole here, you just see the commander. It's just him in disguise. So the Illuminati, guys. What do we think? Just jump in right in. Do we think it's a thing? Do we think it's just a term for some figureheads who control everything? Or do we think there's something deeper that's like ritualistic? How do we feel?
You want to start?
Yeah. I think 100% that it could easily be a thing. Yeah. In my opinion.
You think Beyonce's in it?
Yeah, that's something I was talking about with him earlier. Like I think I see enough patterns, and that's something I do believe in is patterns. You look throughout history, patterns, kind of tell you what the story is, like what happens. And you see all these different like high profile, entertainers, whether they're actors or musicians who throw up a lot of the same, hand gestures or, a lot of the same dark imagery, whether it's in their lyrics or their music videos. And people who may not even have anything connected with one another. I mean, a lot of people nowadays are thinking Taylor Swift is like part of the Illuminati. Yeah, they're starting to see a lot of symbolism in her concerts. Her concerts have, hundreds of thousands of people there at some points, and they're all this energy being thrown to this one person. If there's one thing I do believe in, it's energy, and energy cannot be created or destroyed, and whatever energy people are putting their minds to, and whatever frequency they're on, I think it could 100% attribute to something if there were dark practices behind it.
I saw a TikTok the other
whether
day,
they're aware of it or not,
about Taylor Swift actually being like, I guess in the Illuminati, something similar to that.
Like the secretary or something.
Yeah, it was like someone from like a long, long time ago, like an old like black and white photo, and they're like, do you think it's a coincidence? This lady's in the like Church of Satan and she looks just like Taylor Swift.
Oh yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
I saw that. It was like theories that she might be the daughter of like whoever the founder was
like
of like the Church of Satan. I can't remember his name, but he looked like Count Dracula or some type of
Of course
dude.
he
Like
does.
has like the slick back hair, like the
But just
beard,
Taylor Swift's face, like.
But yeah, I heard about that theory. But I mean, yeah, I 100% think that could easily be a thing. We've seen enough of it throughout, at least my lifetime, 20 years of things that I can actually remember.
Yeah, I mean, you see like a lot of people say about the Travis Scott, like Astroworld incident, that was like a sacrifice or something, and then that his shows are very ritualistic and just the vibe there.
Yeah, I actually just, went to Travis Scott's concert too here in Austin at the Moody Center. And there was one thing I noticed. I mean, like we didn't have like prime seating. Like we were like top railing, and like even when Travis Scott was on, we couldn't even really see him like on the stage because the Jumbotron was blocked. So I'm just looking at the screen the whole time. And a lot of like reoccurring imagery that I did see was the blue spiral. And I've done my research on that. And also it's a big part of like one of my favorite TV shows, True Detective, which if anybody's ever watched that was a big part of like the very first season with like Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, the blue spiral. And there's actual FBI leaked documents that you can, this is open to the public on WikiLeaks.
It's not leaked documents. It's
well,
on
yeah,
website.
it's on the website. But like when I was recently like researching it, it was on like WikiLeaks. But it's a CIA document of like what the blue spiral signifies, and it's essentially like preferences for people who like sexually traffic children, and depending on like what the spiral is, I think if it's blue or if it's like jagged, the different type of spirals defines what your preference is.
It's
like
a big list of shapes that basically equate to someone virtue signaling or signaling like without overtly being like, hey,
like I like little boys that are like 12 preferably, or I like little girls.
What's like the upside down, upside down pineapple thing where it like means you're a swinger? Right. It's like on that kind of like symbology. I think to kind of tack on to the Illuminati thing, I think, yes, the like kind of idea of what the Illuminati is real. I think if you think that they're using people in the entertainment industry to put at the top of this thing, you're crazy. Because the entertainment industry is just a facet of what maybe the Illuminati actually represents. Like people like Beyonce and Jay-Z, they're in it because they were chosen to be in it. The people that are doing the choosing are people like your George Bushes and your Dick Cheneys and Henry Kissingers, who are in like the Skull and Bones Society that come out of these what are they called? The super elite colleges, the Ivy League colleges, right? Maybe type of you're chosen you're groomed and chosen from a young age, like right? Through those societies at the elite colleges and the elite societies and things like that. So people like Beyonce and Jay-Z did not go there. And that's why they're not playing a game that big, right? The entertainment industry is a very small tool that the much bigger machine
it's a branch
uses.
Of the whole tree is.
But then they get to reap the benefits, though, of like the fame and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're complicit. They're complicit.
Yeah.
And that's why, Jay-Z and Beyonce, like, if you're complicit, people think, you'll get to that level where they're fucking Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Yeah.
Like who they are. Nobody, if you don't know who they are, you're probably Amish. It's like
all the Amish fans are like, turn this shit off.
All the Amish people are like, bitch, I know Beyonce.
Yeah, exactly. They're
like pulling up in a little cart, with a horse-drawn carriage, pulling up to Beyonce. They're like, I'm so excited. And it's a household name. There's even if you don't listen to them, there's nobody who doesn't know those names.
I've just heard a lot of stuff too, and I talked about this on another episode, but like there's parties in LA, for example, and I'm sure most major cities and maybe smaller ones, but where you have to give blood to get in. And this is like a thing
What
that I shit you not. I shit you not. I have friends that have gone, I'm not gonna name names because I don't want them to die, you know, but I'm like, sorry guys, I'm already
not trying to get anybody sold out of here.
I've said too much. I just busted a window. Yeah, so basically, and I've seen this on YouTube videos of like influencers saying this. There's parties in LA where you have to prick your finger and give blood to get into that party. They don't tell you why. They don't tell you.
And they agree?
Yeah, because of the fame. It's like kind of like, you know.
Do they share the same needle?
Do
they use it on everybody?
Or I don't know. I think they have some like. Yeah.
How many little different pricks do you think that they have?
They just have a whole bucket of needles. They're like, big party tonight, guys, coming up.
I mean, but took a trip to North Carolina with my wife, and they were in the clear thing, and they scan your eyeball. You know, right? It's all that biometric data, which is ultimately what your blood has all your biometric data, right? That it's just wild how freely we give that stuff up. Yeah. Right? And these are tools that
like
they're
the
going to
23andMe.
Yeah.
It's like people are taking it back.
I never did that.
Yeah,
I
like,
refused. I was like, I'm going to send my my DNA to this random company so I can find out if I'm 1%, Thai or like Chinese or something. Like, no,
I could see you being 1% Thai. I could see it. I could look at you and tell you what you are. You don't need it. But like,
how many Mai Tais you had, dude? Definitely, you're 1%.
Exactly. But it's
more
like
pina colada
people
kind of
are
guy
like,
now, ever since my first cruise. But,
they're apprehensive to give their blood to get into a party, but then it's like, okay, but like you and your Mima are sending off 23andMe to find out if you're 1% Scottish. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, okay.
Just scan your eyeball to get on a plane.
But they're just more blatant. Yeah, they're more blatant with it, I think. And like, would I do it? No, because I think aside from just them having your DNA or whatever it might be, just like what's the word I'm looking for? The nefarious side of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, is this going to be some ritualistic shit? Like, are they going to, I don't know, whatever it might be. Like, I'm very superstitious.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing to be wary about is not necessarily like maybe the esoteric, like ritualistic side of it, kind of the intangible, but more like the security side of it. Like, yes, these people have your data, but like anything can, and anyone can get hacked. Yeah. Except for maybe a couple things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like the people that could possibly access that data, what would they do with it then? Right? Like identities being stolen, I feel like is a very like 21st century problem. Yeah. Right? Like think about like your biometric data being stolen, right? And your face being scanned in a place that you never were at or something, you know, like.
When with AI too, it's like now they can, with that data, even without it, they can create an image of you, like a likeness of you that can say anything or do anything.
Oh yeah.
And post a video, whatever they might. Yeah. It's insane.
Don't answer the telemarketers, man. Dude,
no, I mean,
just collecting that.
Unless they're selling alarms.
There's a lot of those stories. I don't know if you've heard like those like spam calls, like people that are, basically scamming people and robbing them. Like the AI voices that sound like your child or your wife, and like it's their voice.
Oh,
like
I never
you hear, like
that.
I mean, obviously I don't know these people's voices, but like it like these people like believed it to such a like degree that they were
that's
like
nuts.
calling, they call their kids obviously like their actual number just to check and see like, hey, like are you actually in jail or like did like what happened, and they're like, what are you talking about, like I'm fine. And it's just getting to that level.
Well, I
it's
think
wrong, but like it's smart.
And technology, the internet, all of this innovation is a double-edged sword, right? The internet is an amazing like adaption of human like growth, and our greater trajectory of wherever we're going to be 100, 200 years from now, right? But it's also a tool that can be used for like bad, to screw people over and shit on people and take advantage of people. So like it's great, but it's as much as great as it is, it's equally as like terrifying.
Yeah. 100%. Did Epstein kill himself, guys?
We had a big long one about this. My consensus personally is I think either it was he knew he had to kill himself or he knew someone was going to do it for him, right? And when and where that was, I think definitely was planned, and everybody being asleep, all this.
The guards leave, and there's no guards there on that shift because he, took a nap.
So I'll say this:
in the most high secure prison and in a cell where like
in the place where they
snooze,
kept
where people aren't supposed to kill themselves.
They kept El Chapo there.
Oh wow!
He was already put under a suicide watch.
Yeah.
Because I think did he try before? I think, didn't he try once, or they thought that he was like likely or like more susceptible to be doing something like that?
Or did they just say that to separate him from the general public because they knew they were going to do something?
This is all plausible, like gray area things that can be taken any which way in a court of law.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And that's ultimately they're trying to create that doubt and just enough to be able to win in court.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately,
but they didn't need to. Luckily.
I think he's alive and kicking. I don't think he's dead. I really don't.
Yeah?
I think it was staged. Yeah. I think they put a like body double in there, and I genuinely think he's alive.
So do you think that they just like shipped him off to an island, or do you think that they still have him doing what he was doing?
Yeah, no, I think he's still doing the same thing. I think he's still out there just being like not a great dude, but I think like with the money and power that he had and the connections he had, the people who he was connected with, it's possible, or the people he was connected with knew what he knew and they wanted him dead. So maybe they had him killed.
I think it's more likely that only because the people that were above him were so far above him.
Yeah.
And the people there's documented evidence that he was most likely an intelligence asset. What's her name? Ghislaine Maxwell is the daughter of Robert Maxwell, who was like a super Israeli super spy back in the day, who basically integrated himself into the media, which is why we have all this brainwashy mockingbird stuff going on in the CIA or in our media today, where they just comply with this. Basically, the CIA every day drops their memo like, hey, this is what you talk about. Here's the narrative. And there's 50,000 news stations saying the word for word exact same thing because the CIA told them to say.
Which is terrifying. And you have like all these Facebook moms and dads who just believe everything they see.
Oh
too.
yeah, everything, because they're like, you know, we were born in the generation where we had technology. You know, like we know what dial-up is. Yeah. You know, like, you know how it was to turn on a computer. We had the first, like, you know, Motorola phones that had the antenna. You know, you're playing Snake on your mom's phone or some shit like that. Yeah. And so we've seen the progression, not the, like, beginning of, like, the internet, but early in its lifespan, like, close enough to where we've seen what it's grown into and what it is now. And it's one of those things where we've seen so much how it's changed and how it, you know, people can just believe anything. And I think at one point we were all pretty ignorant to it. You know, a young teenager, 20-year-old, like, you know, you see something on TikTok nowadays and you're like, you know, it's like some airline scene where like it's some like unruly passenger or whatever. And it's like, okay, like whatever, this is fucking clearly like just a skit or some shit. But
I feel like there's
people, like there's a lot of people like the generation above us that do believe some of the like crazy shit they see on Facebook or Instagram, and they take it wholeheartedly at face value. Yeah, and that's where I think a lot of like the disconnect comes from with the current, you know, society right now in terms of the three different generations that are, you know, we still have.
I think that the age has reversed. Like they're 17 in internet years, right? And we're 50 in internet years because we've been here our entire childhood. Well, not entire childhood. I would say like, you know, late high school, middle school was like very technology.
Like when I was like 12 or 13, I wanted a Motorola Razr, you know, but I still had to pay per text and like couldn't call after 6 p.m.
I screwed my mom's computer over with LimeWire.
LimeWire.
That's how Soulja Boy blew up. Is he would relabel his tracks as somebody else's song that people were downloading illegally, and it would be a Soulja Boy song. And that's how he fucking blew. I swear, that's how he blew up.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
That's so smart.
And so like.
Businessman, wait a minute. Right.
But yeah, so it's like how internet has changed. Like we were in this unique spot, I think, being born in the 90s, that we had that tail end. Like I didn't have internet or a computer in our house till I was maybe like 10. Right, but we had computers at school. We used floppy disks, things like that.
You know, but that
quickly went away. Quickly went away. CD players were still skipping in cars when I was a kid. You know, and so like we've had that ability to adapt and like, okay, this is the internet. Technology is being implemented in our education and all this stuff, so we're good at Word. We're able to navigate, you know, internet. You
have to take
interfaces.
a typing class, like, you know, it's like,
exactly right. Yeah. So, but they didn't have. They're having to do all that retroactively, right? So they can't do it at the rate we were forced to in school, you know. So when they're like, oh, look at this, it's like, Mom, that's clearly AI. You know what I mean? Like, come on,
like,
get it together.
Go ahead.
Wayfair cabinets.
We were talking about this one a little bit earlier.
They were like, if you scramble the SKU number on this box or this cabinet, like it's this missing kid's name from 1987. You know what I mean? You guys don't think so?
I think there's enough people on the planet for the probability of that to just happen.
Yeah.
But I thought the Wayfair cabinets thing was this like overpriced basic piece of furniture that was like a signal or like you make a deal with someone and they're like, okay, go buy these cabinets.
So it was apparently like you see like $100,000 for like a little like I don't know credenza
like a cabinet,
or something.
just some basic
I never heard the SKU number stuff, but that sounds.
That's what I was bringing up
sounds
earlier because when you brought it up, I was like, like there was a QR code or whatever. Or
well, at that point, why not just use the dark web? You know what I mean? Like if you're really going to transport if you're going to toss me in a cabinet, why not throw it on the dark web where it's like a little harder, to get in there?
And that's another thing I was saying is like I don't think something that risky for someone who's that malintentioned would be left. I get hiding in plain sight, but that's dumb.
Yeah.
That's a stupid decision on the criminal side, right? So like it was just a little far-fetched given that I know how smart humans are.
All the criminals just got super high. They're like, I got it. Wayfair, we'll slap on some cabinets, $100,000 for a credenza. Let's go.
Some internet sleuth on
cabinets,
TikTok's
bro.
just like, I got you, motherfucker. I see what you're doing.
You'll never look here. Yeah, exactly. Some little like young kid is homesick from school. He's like, wait a fucking minute. I'm cracking the code. Like,
well, it like I don't know if y'all heard of like if y'all are like, are you really familiar with Shein at all? Like that Chinese company. Like there was that
Temu. Temu's that one. That's all.
I haven't
that
used
guy.
Temu at all.
You're welcome in advance.
Shein. I don't like to. I use Shein a lot. I mean, this is Shein. It's a nice jacket. It was $30. I'm poor. Sue me, But there were these theories like with Shein that I just lost it. Shit.
It's the government.
No.
It's because you went to the Travis.
Oh,
podcast.
no. I remember. There like some of the clothing that was being shipped. Like the sewing on it, obviously like it's very cheaply made. It's made in a factory by child labor. A lot of it. And there would be like stitchings on like the tags and stuff that'd be like, help me, I'm hungry.
Damn.
Like shit like that. And
They know English?
Gen
that
Z's
was my question. I was
Gen Z's like, that's
help me
fucking
probably,
fire.
like I imagine maybe that's like kind of a universal thing.
What if it just becomes
I don't
a
know.
trend?
English
like,
is a hard language.
What if they're crying for help and all of a sudden Gen Z's like, ooh, that shit's cool. Like I want to wear it like flipped inside out. Help me, I love it. Like
I didn't see any stitching on my tag.
I think if you're a child in China forced to be doing child labor, the last thing anyone is going to be doing is teaching you English.
Oh yeah, they teach you like fucked up English. It doesn't even make sense. Like the pig Latin.
People
they don't want you to know our language.
Well, but like I think like people tie in like, oh, the Chinese, like that's automatically how all of their billion people feel.
Yeah.
No, the same way that half of our country hates our government, half of the Chinese people hate the government too.
Yeah.
So again, plausible, but it's just
It could happen.
I don't see.
But imagine if it did. Okay.
The two words they know in English is just help and me.
They only taught them those.
Me
two.
help me.
Stop. I'm gonna rapid fire a few guys.
Yeah, let's
knock it out.
I don't know how to Mandela effect. Mandela.
Yeah.
First of all, I think the way this originated, correct me if I'm wrong. Everyone watching this is gonna be like, you dumb bitch. But he was supposed like people thought he had died.
Yep.
Like Nelson
In the
Mandela.
80s.
Yeah.
Because he was in prison.
But then he like popped out and he was like, I'm very much alive. What's
and he
up,
was
guys?
running like the country.
Some kind of like
whatever he was doing.
meditation circles. I don't know. But like, so he apparently, people saw that and they were like, what? I remember him dying. I very much remember that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it started. So now you got like Bernstein Bears versus Bernstein. You got
Chick-fil-A.
There you go.
That was the first one that I was like, hold on a second.
yeah. Chuck E. Cheese got
it
me.
was the full chick. It used to be the full word
Fruit
chick.
Loops was another big one where I remember it being fruit with the actual Fruit Loops like in the middle.
Those,
Or not the Fruit Loops, but actually saying fruit.
Yeah.
Loops,
Wait, does
not
it
the
not?
fruit with the
F-R-O-O-T.
double O's.
Yeah.
What?
yeah. And it's the stuff from the 90s that gets me with I think to say what this really is about. Like in 2012 they were testing the hydrogen
particle collider.
yeah, and so the theory is that this lines up with when the Mayan calendar said the world was supposed to end, was
Right.
the same year that they were testing this particle collider, and that when they successfully tested this particle collider, that split what we know as reality into two realities, shifting people's experience into like, okay, we remember, like, basically it was a different reality before 2012, which would explain the minor, this kind of adds to the simulation theory thing, I think, as well. But that's the whole thing about the Mandela effect, is that like everybody remembers distinctly Chick-fil-A having a K
Bernstein.
in it, right? Bernstein
Like
Bears.
not
I don't remember
Bernstein.
Berenstein, but I was
No,
offended
dude.
when I saw that.
Yeah,
you know?
me too.
So yeah, it's crazy to think that it's like it all, and people predicted this thousands of years ago, supposedly as well.
Yeah, it's
like,
weird timing, but you know, I mean, who's to say, really? But the hydrogen particle collider definitely, you know, was something that I think we're playing with that we don't fully understand. You know, and that's what science does.
Yeah.
That's how you learn what's what. You start
You learn what's
poking at shit that you don't know.
People had to get
What I did in college,
electrocuted.
Fucking
People
poke
had to
that
get
shit on my own.
electrocuted for us to get electricity the way it's going. You know, and it's part of that's just like
Imagine being
it
that
is
guy.
what it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
people
mean-
had to get burned to be like, hey, that's hot.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
fire.
I would
for
somebody
sure.
got
Fire, yeah,
Yeah.
came in, found fire. You know, lightning struck a piece of wood, a
So,
tree, and
and
they're like,
I
That is
think
most
that's
definitely fire, yeah.
I think that's just a part of life. I think it's a part of human growth. You know, I don't villainize that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are gonna
curiosity
test the
killed the
limits
cat
of
at the end of the
the
day.
universe.
I mean, it's what
Yeah.
we do. We see something, we're like, I'm gonna poke it with a stick. You know, like
My dad
see
sent
what
me
happens.
a meme, and it was a bird doing like this like foot thing, and it said like me telling my kid don't touch that, and it's like the bird like reaching out doing this
It's like
thing.
when cats are like, you know, see water and they're like,
It's just a scientist in the lab coming up with the Mandela effect. It's
Yeah.
just like y'all right now. Speaking of birds, are pigeons real or are they the government surveillance?
They're real.
they're
No, really? Okay, but like, have y'all ever seen a baby pigeon?
I've
Don't lie to me. Don't lie on my podcast.
baby
I-
pigeon?
Okay,
That's a good
I've
argument.
seen a pigeon work on displacement theory to drink water, right? So there's not enough water at the bottom of this bottle, and this pigeon is setting rocks in there to raise the water up so he can drink it.
sounds like something the government would do to me. Sounds like some real government activities. I'm like, you're only building the case here.
But that video, when I saw that, I was like, okay, pigeons are real.
That made you think it was real? That didn't make you think it was a robot?
No, that makes me think it's real.
If an animal is doing a displacement theory, oh, I guess you're saying because of like instincts, like bring the car.
yeah.
I suppose.
How can I
Yeah,
get
obviously
this
I thought
water?
you
he's
were
not
saying
like
he set up the
measuring each
experiment.
rock like as
He's
he
like,
places
I
it
put a
in.
rock in here.
Yeah.
Well, water rose. Put
I
another
thought you were
one.
saying
No,
he set
no,
up the
that bird saw his dad do it, and now
Yeah.
he's doing it.
Makes all the sense in the world.
Listen here, son.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're
You
gonna
drop
take
the
this
When the
rocks
water's
rock.
dry, this is what you do. Get to it, okay? I don't know why.
an old
I don't know
grandpa
why the
pigeon.
pigeons, some country
Just
back
Western,
person,
yeah.
but
I think if there was gonna be surveillance, they could do it in ways other than like a pigeon.
They already
if we're
do
being
it.
real.
That's-
Yeah,
That's
no,
so
you
obvious.
willingly give them
your phone. If
give
you have
it to
Alexa,
them with every
Dude,
single
iPad,
device you
Yeah.
have.
webcam. It's
It happened earlier. I was talking to my friend on the phone and I was like, dude, like, we shouldn't go out tonight. We should. Maybe we should stop drinking. I get an ad as soon as I open Instagram for like fake alcohol. It's like thinking of going sober, but don't know where to start. And it's like alcohol.
I was thinking it was gonna be like a Corona ad or something.
No.
And I will say,
Modelo
like,
time.
I was like, thanks, Instagram, for
50% of the
supporting my
time,
efforts.
50% of the time, those ads, I'm like, damn, have I been missing this? And the other 50% is like, how could you? Don't send me this
Yeah,
ad.
like
I feel
offensive.
attacked. Like I'm
I've
too
gotten them-
seen right
yeah,
now.
I've gotten them for like Ozempic. I'm like, damn.
Mine's just like, are you
relax.
depressed? Take this medication.
Yeah.
It'll make you happy.
They're like, better
Yeah,
help.
if
Other
you're-
times it's like
if you're getting
random
Pfizer
anime shit,
ads,
so,
yeah,
know.
you should.
They're like,
It's like,
try
you like
Lexa.
Jujutsu Kaisen? Buy these cheap Instagram t-shirts. Oh,
like-
you're depressed?
Try Lexapro
Try Lexapro.
on this app for the low price of $5. Is Gucci Mane a clone?
No.
What? Okay, I have agree to disagree on this.
If they have technology to clone people, they're not going to use someone as
Why Gucci?
not.
Okay, well,
yeah,
not just
they're
him.
not-
I've heard about Avril Lavigne.
Why would they
that
use
too.
her?
That-
would
Why
they use her?
not? Because if it's someone who's too high profile, it would probably draw too much because they have like super fans. Think about it. If it's like a Taylor
After
Swift,
she dies.
you know what I mean? If it's a Taylor Swift or whoever, then people are going to notice the tiniest freckle change because people are like super fans or like little Swifties. But for like Gucci Mane, I love him personally, East Atlanta Santa. But I think a lot of people wouldn't notice besides like the few on TikTok who do articles and they're like, okay, when he went into prison, the idea is he went into prison. He was killed in prison. They didn't want to, out that, I guess, because he was rising to fame and everyone was so excited about him getting out. They then have a clone or like a doppelganger who's now married to Keisha and continued his career just for the music industry and like.
But didn't he record stuff in prison?
Was it him or was it the clone? I don't know.
I don't think so. Only because kind of going back to what I was saying, it's just I don't think they would pick Gucci Mane if that was.
Sorry if you're listening, Gucci. Or clone Gucci. I think you're great.
No, Gucci. If you're listening, I think you're the real you.
I mean,
I think.
And if you are a clone and you've been the clone for my life for the last however many years, you're fucking Gucci.
Yeah, no hate. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like they would pick someone like 10 times more reaching and powerful, like a RFK or a Bernie Sanders versus a rapper.
Potentially.
No offense.
But I mean, people in the music industry are so money hungry that maybe they had the resources and they were like, you know what, clone him up.
Yeah, or they'd be willing to do some like twisted shit like that. That was kind of my
argument earlier, like when we were like talking about it, is like, I mean, for example, like Taylor Swift, Avril Lavigne's kind of like, I don't really see it just for the time. She was 18. A lot of people were saying that, she was really depressed, couldn't handle the fame, and then her grandfather died. Like, I mean, I'm not, everybody's story's different, but like, I just don't see that as like a reason that, she might.
Like, suck it up, Avril. Yeah, that's not a reason.
It's like she's 18 and like I guess what I'm getting at, the changes that she made, or not she made, but the changes that people are saying that, it's some actress like Melissa.
Melissa something,
I can't remember her name, but that's who they say that, her double is some actor. But I mean, she was 18. She had a lot of money. It's very easy to get
And we're talking about someone who's
surgery
super rich that has access to the ability to make those changes to themselves voluntarily.
People
like
get
putting a diamond
tatted
in their
on their face now.
I don't know,
people
but like,
put diamonds in their head.
Yeah,
if you look at like,
Lil Uzi
had a
he put
rose
a gem
diamond
in his head.
on his forehead, and somebody ripped it out of his forehead.
just at a show, they're like, just play.
No, I remember seeing the video. I was like, that's just gonna get
jumped.
Dude.
Like, damn.
But yeah, I just don't.
Weird flex.
I just don't see it. Like he said, like I agree with that. Like I think if it were cloning were a thing, which I'm not saying it can't be. We've cloned animals before.
Yeah.
Like it's very possible.
Didn't we clone a pig? When I was in like elementary or middle school, they were like, guess what, guys? We cloned a pig. And we think they just stopped there and there's been no progression.
Like, so, no, that's very much progressed since, but like, we don't hear about it for a reason, right?
It's Gucci.
Well, and Scoochie.
Yeah.
But like with the internet was invented in the 70s.
Yeah.
We didn't get access to it till the mid 90s.
Right.
Right. And so cloning could be one of those things where, and just like projection technology for aliens or any of this brain chip shit that's coming out now, like this is probably stuff that's been around for decades that we're just now getting that retail access to.
Yeah.
And the argument too, people say our government's fucking stupid. Like, if they can't even run the country, how could they have this shit? I'm like, the CIA and the government are two completely separate entities. And
Eisenhower's farewell speech, go listen. He warns about it. He warns about it in his farewell speech.
Yeah, our government's stupid. Like, they can't get shit done. But that doesn't mean that other parts of the big, machine, if we believe in this Illuminati type of shit, that's part of it. The CIA, in my opinion, I think would be part of something like that, where they manufacture, artists, famous people. Like, I'm sure it's a branch of what they specialize on, but all this other
like
stuff too, with their technology, with holographic technology. There's like
even social
Tupac,
media.
There's Tupac holograms, all that stuff. Like, there's AI now. I mean, you look at something like Unreal Engine. They recently like released a teaser of their new engine. I don't know if it's like 5 or 6, but Unreal Engine is like the best gaming engine for anything. Anybody that wants their game to look good uses this engine because it's just detailed and it looks gorgeous. They released a trailer or a demo.
Graphic design in general.
Yeah, that too. I mean, there's like shows, animes that come out using this engine, and they recently put out a demo of like what Unreal Engine 5 is going to be able to do, and it was in the street of a car that like was on fire. And you couldn't even tell that this was like fake. Like it looked like a normal street, people walking down the street, this car's on fire in the middle of it, and you see how this person can affect the flames, the smoke, and it just looks completely natural. Like we're in the age now where we're not going to be able to tell what is reality and what is AI and technology.
Yeah, maybe it's been that way. Like you said, we didn't get internet till the 90s. How do we know this hasn't been a thing already? And that's not what the news is.
Exactly.
Just manufactured images, kind of like the moon landing. What do you guys think of that? I'm like, brings me to my next conspiracy.
Yeah. So I think we did land on the moon, but what everybody saw on TV was not what happened. And, some people will take that one way. I don't necessarily think it's like, we couldn't show what we saw on the moon. I don't think we have the technology to show what we saw on the moon. And if you take photography 101 at anything, you take lighting 101, like it becomes quickly obvious that this is like a set. You know what I mean? Just the way that light bounces off of things versus how the light would bounce off of something if the sun was where it says it was at this time.
Why do you think they like fabricated the images though? Like, what do you think actually happened, or do you think like it got corrupted? Or what do you
morale. Morale. We're trying to rally, but like JFK was doing so. Whereas the space race that Russia was competing with us, right?
We had to beat them,
and this is at the time where NATO was trying to basically only existed to take down the USSR. Yeah, exactly. Right. And so the space race had 1000% everything to do with that. National morale gets behind people being okay with wars that are illegal, which led to Vietnam. It started this domino effect of people being super nationalistic and American as fuck, and like excited to do it because we landed on the fucking moon first.
America.
So kind of like I know we mentioned it earlier, but back to like 9/11, right? Do we think that was kind of the intent? I mean, not.
It had that
unfortunately, effect. Like the people that passed away, like that's awful. It's terrible. But do we think it was part of a larger agenda to bring the people together?
Well, the thing is that the justification of 9/11 did not align with what happened after 9/11. We went into Afghanistan, even though a bunch of Saudi Arabians did this, right? And the opioid crisis that came in 2008 was a direct result of us going into Afghanistan, taking over all their poppy fields, basically protecting that land. Oil, yes, obviously it has a part of it, but it was all about Big Pharma getting their poppies so that they could make all these pain medications, get everybody sick. And that's like the bigger connection of why we're in the
to help fight that.
And that was just one. Oil's
probably number two.
And the fact that the Saudi Arabian government, that house owns most of the money on the planet, and everybody kind of plays to their agenda. And if you look, and Israel is in that same boat, which is why we kind of like, nobody really says anything about that when it comes to American politics because we're in their pocket. Yep.
Yeah, Joe Dispenza mentioned in his book, Becoming Supernatural, about a patient that he had heard of. And I guess a lot of bad things happened in her life, right?
Yeah.
But I guess she got this medication and it was for her depression, anxiety. And instead of making her better, she kept declining, got worse and worse and worse. So they gave her another medication to combat that medication. And it was just a steady stream of just, eventually she was on the brink of death, basically.
Those are the people that go into a mall and start shooting people up. The people on these like SSRI, antidepressants, like prescribed. Notice that they never tell you all these mass shooters and all this stuff. They never tell you what kind of prescription drugs they were on because it's probably a mixed cocktail like that person,
But then if they said that, of course, that would be terrible for Big Pharma, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because if you find out that this person who's on multiple products of yours, when there's mounds and mounds of data that show that this has led to more suicides and more, depression and just addiction, in the last 20 years, to have that plastered on every mainstream news media, whether it's Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, and be like, oh yeah, the shooter was on Lexapro, Vyvanse, whatever, Adderall, whatever it may be.
And then you make the connection that the same people that are invested in these media companies, right, with the news, are the same people that have most of their money in Pfizer and Moderna and all these oil companies. So, of course, their interests are going to align for them to push a narrative that controls the way people think. It is mind control, right? And this is stuff that the CIA was studying in the 60s when they first came about. Operation Mockingbird, look it up.
If y'all weren't aware, the state of Texas actually recently just sued Pfizer, which I didn't think was possible.
Yeah.
They actually sued Pfizer not because of the vaccine, but because of false advertising.
They said that it wouldn't cause transmission and that the virus would stop with you.
The virus dies.
And there was zero evidence.
Wow.
No human testing.
There were no human trials.
Nothing.
Like they were, quote unquote, rushing at the speed of science.
Yeah.
Shout out Jimmy Dore.
Love that. So like COVID and the vaccine, for example, right? That's a whole like can of worms, I know, but there obviously was no testing, really, no long-term clinical trials, but now people need 3, 4, 5 vaccines. You can't catch it sitting down in a restaurant, but when you stand up, you absolutely can. So you got to wear a mask to walk to the bathroom.
Right.
Like,
That's social control.
Yeah.
That's behavioral control.
It's mind control. Like literally, it's one to the mask thing. In my opinion, too, is also to alienate us from everybody else that we daily interact with. Because you see a mask, you don't see the person's face, you just see their eyes. And throughout all of COVID, like I'm sure we all felt that way at one point. You walk next to somebody, or you like when you could go out and do that, you go to this grocery store, somebody's right next to you, and you're like, and like I was subject to it at first. Like we all at one point believed that this was what it was, but after a lot of time, like I never got the vaccine.
Same.
I didn't want to get it. I didn't think that it was smart because, I mean, after what research was out, if you were a young, healthy male, for the most part, you more than likely didn't need it. The vaccine wasn't for people.
Not
like
even
me.
that. Now that age demographic that did get it is at like 80% risk of myocarditis.
Yeah. In men, and it
affects their ability to like reproduce, like people who have gotten the boosters and things. And this is coming from people who invented the vaccine, like the technology, the mRNA vaccine. Robert, I can't think of his name.
We don't even know the long-term implications for the kids. Like, say a female did get the shot, say she gets pregnant. We don't know how does it affect that kid later in life and then their kids and so forth. Like it could be just a never-ending chain of just.
There was data too that came out that showed that it also caused infertility.
Yeah.
There were some studies that were done that showed it caused infertility. I couldn't give you the numbers, but that was the main article that it causes infertility in women and men. And in a way, if you really want to take it to this level, in a way, it's population control.
Yeah,
because
I don't disagree.
There's too many people, and I don't say that in like a bad way. It's just we're like a virus, dude. We just keep, procreating, and we have a finite amount of space and a finite amount of resources, and it's just not mathematically possible to keep supplying this big of a population with the limited finite resources that we have. And some people could say that was a way to kind of cut off a little bit of extra fat.
I don't disagree. And then at the same time, testing how much they could get away with when it comes to controlling us. Like, will they actually stay inside? Will they actually stand in all 4 corners of an elevator with their backs to each other?
They know you will. That's
crazy.
The thing. They know you will. By the time they're implementing all this stuff, they know you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like when people say the government's dumb or whatever, that's the most idiotic thing. If there's that organization is the smartest group of people used to keep themselves where they are, to keep themselves in power.
And
things
keep us
like the
where we are.
CIA, like Homeland Security, the NSA, none of that existed before 9/11. 9/11, the Patriot Act was used to basically blow open the door for all these constitutional, like unconstitutional things, taking our rights, spying on us all the time.
Surveillance,
right? And then
at any point in time,
you see things like
right now,
Facebook, and there's the
Hey, if my FBI agents out there, please make sure to subscribe.
We tap into our
follow on
NSA
SoundCloud
agent all the time. Yeah, like, hey, bro, you bought my Twitter numbers a bit?
I know y'all probably heard what I say when I play Call of Duty, so it's okay.
What is it? Adrenochrome? You guys familiar? I don't know how to say it, but I've heard about it. And then I was listening to, I think it was Huberman Lab, the podcast the other day.
Yeah.
And he brought it up actually. Not that celebrities scare babies and kill them and take their blood, but he brought up the conspiracy lightly, and he was talking about the fact that there are studies that show that those properties can make you more youthful, or even I think they've seen in a few studies where it helps Alzheimer's and stuff when injected into a person who's sick or aging, and they do see it reversing the effects. So
I found a link before we came in here where we can buy it online.
What?
So I don't see why you need to go
He's
through
like, so
all
I have
of
it
that.
here.
I don't see why you need to
literally
go
had it
through
on his
all of
laptop.
that.
He's
Yeah,
like, bro, you
gotta
can buy it
pull
off Amazon.
You can, yeah.
What?
It wasn't
it's
on
not
Amazon,
but
but
like
it
you
was-
can literally type in it. It's like $350 for like a little tiny bottle like this, but you can go and buy it.
Do we think that's real, or do we think that's someone
what I'm getting at is like, I don't know if that's real or not, but what I'm saying is I think if it's not real, that's a testament to the fact that that's probably not a thing. You know what I mean? Sure, like the effects of adrenaline in the blood and getting it right, like whatever, we're talking about a more esoteric, probably something that's been going on for a lot longer than our ability to talk about it has been around, right? And so, aka the internet and all that shit, right? So,
well, sacrifices were always a thing throughout
100%.
time.
I mean, Mayan, Aztec, whatever. I mean, they would.
It's twisted, but I don't think this adrenochrome. I think it is kind of a straw man, kind of like, look at this, while the actual reality twisted thing is going on right over here while I was looking here.
Interesting.
And I think little Wayfair things, all that stuff is used because people are getting close. Shit's going to start popping off.
What can we make up that's crazy enough to distract them
if
for
Jeffrey
like a month?
Epstein and all this stuff happening isn't a sign that shit's kind of starting to come loose a little bit, like for that whole system, like I don't know what else is, because people are starting to throw everyone under the bus, right? And you're seeing people go down for shit that, oh, I love that person. Oh, they did what? Oh my God.
I was never close with them.
And
we hung out once, you know? We hung out once,
Hey,
you
man.
know? It
Well,
was,
did
it
he-
was,
one
it was
picture
on his
on my
island.
show. Yeah.
On his island. They're just like,
It was just a business deal. you
oh
know?
my
It
God.
was-
Well, it's happening with Diddy right now, kind of. Like, he's super canceled, but it's not that. I feel like he definitely did that, though.
Yeah,
Honestly. I feel
no.
like without a doubt, like, girl's girl, but even aside from that, like, he did that, in my opinion. But now it's going even deeper, and people are coming out from the past saying, oh, well, he had something to do with Biggie and Tupac dying. He had something to do with, like, all these other people. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I was bringing that up to him earlier because he wasn't too caught up on like the recent allegations that P. Diddy has had.
But I know his shady, like up until this one thing that we're talking about now, I'm very aware of his kind of role and sketchiness, like as far as like maybe circumstances he's found himself in, like with the Biggie Tupac stuff. So nothing was new to me except for what's happened.
The most recent things that's going on with him. His ex-girlfriend Cassie, I think was her name, came out and said that, she was like, 18 at the time when they dated, I think.
Yeah, and he would just kind of like give her drugs when they were partying and stuff and like elevate her career and like.
He would abuse her sexually, physically.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she claimed that, basically was like trafficking her,
Basically,
like making her
terrible.
like, have sex with other people and all this other stuff. And I think there's like other people coming out now.
Yeah, well,
using
50
it.
Cent like has hated this man for a minute, and 50 Cent's like not scared of anyone. He's indestructible. So he's been on podcasts saying, first of all, he called Diddy like a Fruit Loop, and he's like,
wait, fruit with the double O or the UI?
You guys tell me. You decide in the comments. I don't know. What do you remember? We'll see. But yeah, just saying that, and then saying like even males within the industry, like he's like, well, if you want to be famous, if you want to whatever, this is what you have to do. So more and more people are coming out now that she, settled with that case and was brave enough to come out about that. So we'll see what happens.
Wait, he settled?
Yeah, he did within a day.
And that's guilty. Like that's guilty, bro. You knew what you did. You know what you did.
Yeah.
You're like, hey,
There was
let
a
me throw
moment-
you $30 million.
There was a moment where he
Shut
goes,
the fuck up.
What do you want?
I swear.
Literally, yeah. He called her up one day and was like, how much?
Yeah.
How much?
No, he didn't. His lawyers.
Well, yeah, whichever, and then it's
I've been watching Suits a lot lately.
Yeah, no, crazy. I mean, I think he might have had something to do with a lot of other things that have happened in the past, but I guess time will tell. And I think it's something that's been around for a long time. There's someone else who he's partnered with. I can't remember his name, but another really high up person in the music industry who apparently Diddy'd him back in the day. Like, and then Diddy started doing that. But what is his name? Not Michael Rubin. That's the guy who has the white parties. I don't know. But
There's theories that Diddy diddled Justin Bieber too.
Diddy did it.
That Diddy diddled Justin Bieber. And
Damn.
like there's like weird videos of like like Justin Bieber is like 15 or 16 at P. Diddy's mansion.
Yeah.
And like P. Diddy says like in the intro of the video, like, I was just given legal guardianship over Justin for the next 48 hours. We're gonna do some stuff, but I can't disclose what we're going to do.
Yeah. Imagine your parents
he's
just like.
Justin
That's what I
just
was
looking
saying.
at him
Who
like,
the fuck are his parents? Like,
Imagine your parents wanting you to be famous so bad.
look, all you have
They're
to
like,
do is go and suck P. Diddy's dick. And you're made, okay.
I mean, they're like, listen, Austin, you can't sing, but you're going to be able to after this. They're going to like Illuminati you. They're going to make you a Beyonce. And then next thing you know, you're going to Diddy's house. And
How
you're just,
bad do you want to be Batman, bro?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how bad actually?
I mean, it's twisted. I think Justin Bieber is an interesting thing because, and this is strange, but he was born, I think, like 10 days before me or something, like same year, same month. I was born on St. Patrick's Day. I think he was born like March 9th or 10th or something like that. And so I've had this weird, like, watching his life, but also experiencing mine. And like me being on one side as an artist, kind of like, I feel like I could hang with him if we were in the same room musically, right? That doesn't necessarily dictate where you go in the music industry, you know. But
your parents
also,
loved you.
Yeah, well, it's not even necessarily. I also
They didn't make you stay at
My
PD,
parents
did they?
loved me very much. But on the other side, I'm very grateful that I didn't take that route, because at that time when I wanted those things, I would have been used and probably taken advantage of, maybe not in that way, but in similar fashions to where I would have been part of somebody else's game if I had gotten what I wanted at 18 years old.
More likely to do something, just for the fame or the growth,
And so seeing him come around and get married, and he's kind of like found Jesus a little bit, it's like enlightening. You know what I mean? Like, it really is like, okay, like you can come out of that darkness.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
100%.
Success story.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning into part 1. There will be a part 2, so we'll see you guys back soon of the conspiracy episode of Secured Sessions. Make sure to follow. Please leave a 5-star rating when you do. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, and every platform where you find podcasts. Thank you guys so much for coming today.
Oh, yeah, this is fun.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome.
Excited for part 2.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Love you so much. Until next time, see you soon.